is Abigail Plazminga. I am the Vice President of the USCL Chemistry Club. Our club will be meeting on the first Tuesday of each month this semester in Bradley Building, room 207. I'm happy to introduce our speaker from South Carolina, DHEC today. Elizabeth Basil is the Assistant Bureau Chief for the Bureau of Environmental Health Services. She has worked with DHEC for 26 years in air permitting, air toxics, and environmental health services. Christopher Corley is the Area Director for the Lancaster and Rock Hill region and has worked for DHEC for 20 years in air quality and environmental health services. Christopher Wisnant is the team leader of their Lancaster County office. He oversees multiple environmental programs covering Lancaster, Chester, and York counties. Our speakers are going to be providing information today about their work and the environmental internships available with South Carolina at DHEC. Please join me in welcoming our speakers with your Zoom applause reactions.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, hello, USC Lancaster, and a special shout out to Dr. Johnson and Abigail. Thank you for hosting this. And yes, today we are talking about DHEC, and we want to focus in on opportunities that we have and opportunities to partnership with the school. And I think that would be good in helping out USC and helping out DHEC as well as helping out the community. And I just want to say I'm excited that we're the first lecture of the year. And also just to let you know, I was excited about this, but I'm feeling an extra connection today because it is a chemistry club. And way back when I was in school at USC Columbia, I was in chemical engineering. So it's a pleasure to talk with folks and do outreach with folks that are in that same scientific vein. So Ms. Dr. Johnson, if you could move the slide forward. Okay, well, I just wanted to talk a little bit today about why DHEC. We do have two other speakers, as Abigail talked about, that are going to talk more about the internship and the day in and day out of what we do. But I just wanted to give a broad overview. And so DHEC is the Department of Health and Environmental Control. And these positions are in the environmental side. We've got a lot of employees. We have a lot of offices statewide, and we touch all the citizens of the state. And we all have a different role to play. However, we've got the same vision, which is healthy people living in healthy communities. And your part may be different than somebody else's, but we will reach that goal one day. I did want to say that what we do at DHEC is we always put, no matter what we're doing, we put people first. And this comes all the way from the top from our agency director, who is Dr. Simmer. And what this means is when we serve the community, when we implement our regulations or develop our regulations, when we talk to folks in the community, no matter what we are doing, is that we do it in the spirit of customer service. And many times we find, even though we have a lot of services out there, sometimes we don't get the results that people want. And that's okay as long as we're doing our job, but we want to make sure that we do it in the most efficient, most polite, and most professional way possible. And we want to treat our employees the same way. So people first for our customers and the citizens of the state, and people first for our employees. And I just wanted to say to y'all, and I think that this is particularly important to me, is that the decisions that we make, everything that we do is driven by science. It's driven by the law and the community needs. And you can do all of those things at once. But when we're talking about clean air or clean water, when we're developing the regulations, What's going on in the communities? What do we see in our water? How do the regulations need to change? What are the procedures and protocols that we're putting together? All of that is driven by science and data. So even though we're helping folks, we're communicating with folks, we're serving the citizens of this state, ultimately it comes back to what is the science telling us and how is that driving our decisions. So next slide, Dr. Johnson. All right. And I do want to plug in to you about why internships are so valuable. First I'll say it's a partnership with DHEC. This is not a job that we want you to come into and you punch a clock, do some work and leave. We need you. We have many services that we are tasked from doing. We've got commitments federally, we have commitments through the state, and we have commitments to the community, and we need help. We don't have enough people to do everything that we need to do. So we need you, but we also value who you are. You as students are bringing a different perspective. You've got a different perspective of being in school, a different mindset. You understand different technology than someone who, like me, has been at DHEC for over 26 years. And all of those things mean something to us and bring something to our job. So we can learn from each other. The second thing is this job is going to directly impact the health of the community. So one of the internship positions that we'll be talking about is rabies prevention. Rabies is a fatal disease. So the person who's doing or assisting with the investigation, looking into the bite or the contact with the animal, following up and using all of our protocols, that could save someone's life. That is a direct impact on somebody's life. So that makes a difference. The second internship focuses on water quality. So what more than what we do every day? We all drink water and we want to make sure it's safe. So one of the internship positions is about sampling the water quality at our regulated facilities, at our utilities, and helping to determine if they're in compliance with the law. And that assistance, that sampling, that determination is going to impact you who are drinking the water, your roommate, your neighbors, your parents. So it does have a direct impact on the community. So these jobs are meaningful in that sense. And also, I would just be remiss in saying this is definitely good for your resume. I have interviewed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and I just want to tell you what an employer is looking for. Good grades is meaningful. Having knowledge in school and that baseline of science, you really do need that. But what an employer is really looking for is, does this person, can they work in a professional setting? Can they talk to their peers? Can they talk to customers? Can they handle someone who's having a bad day? Can they follow product protocol? Can they read and review a standard operating procedure? Can they take a sample after they've been trained? These basic skills, this basic knowledge, these interpersonal skills, this is what's going to bring your resume from somewhere in the pile of 100 to right to the top. So it's going to make your resume gold star. So I really hope you take that into consideration. And with that, I am going to kick it over to Christopher Corley, who's the area director of that region. So thank you.
All right, can we get the next slide, please? Thank you. Hey, I'm Chris Corley. I'm the area director for the Lancaster and Rock Hill offices for the Bureau of Environmental Health Services. There are 8 regions throughout the state. We're one of those 8, and we encompass 2 offices for our region. What does DHEC do? We make sure our air is safe and clean. We make sure drinking water is safe for us and wildlife. We make sure hazardous waste is managed, treated, stored, and disposed of properly. solid waste, we make sure landfills are safe and don't contaminate soil. We make sure dams are safe and there's no threat to the public or anybody else downstream of dams. Food, we make sure food is safe for us to eat. On-site wastewater septic tanks, most folks have a septic tank and we make sure that they last and function properly. Stormwater, we make sure we have clean streams, control erosion and sediment in those streams. We also have an emergency response team that goes out and ensures spills are cleaned up the way they should be. And if you notice a common word, it was safe. Our basic purpose is to make sure our air, land, and water are safe and sustainable. And we do that by inspections and complaints. I'll piggyback on what Liz said a little bit about skills that we're looking for. We're looking for critical thinkers or problem solvers. There's a lot of times that you're going to be faced with, you don't know the answer, but once you start thinking about it, you can find a solution to problems. We're looking for interpersonal skills, good report writing. I know every one of you probably don't like writing essays as I did when I was in college, but that serves you well once you become a DHEC employee. Another thing we're looking for is somebody that can use instruments and knows a way around taking samples. So DHEC as a whole, we touch the lives of every person and home in the state of South Carolina. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen.
All right, next slide, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Stephen.
Okay, you can move on to the next slide, please. All right, so the first internship is for the rabies program. So I'm going to go through kind of the day-to-day life. Whenever someone gets attacked by an animal and they receive medical care, that medical facility sends us an incident report, and it has all the information, contact information for the victim, and we follow up on that information to ensure that the animal, we contact the owner, and we want to make sure that the owner, the animal is quarantined for a certain amount of time. Usually if they're vaccinated, it's a 10-day quarantine, sometimes longer, sometimes 45 days or even 180, depending on the circumstance. And that is just to make sure that they don't have any symptoms and signs of rabies. And if they do, then we can take the proper precautions and also notify the victim that they need to seek further medical care. Another part of the position is the only way to definitely test for rabies is unfortunately by testing the brain. And so we have animals, they get transported to veterinarian clinics and they do a decapitation. And when they're done, they call us and we pick it up for transport to our Columbia lab where they do all the rabies testing. And if it comes back positive, depending on, like I said, the circumstance of the incident, we do community outreach to notify people of that, you know, there was a rabid raccoon or any kind of other animal in the area to be on the lookout and be in contact with us and animal control if there's any other suspected instances or suspected animals. Next slide, please. Next is a water sampling internship. This is a combination of ambient and drinking water sampling. Ambient water sampling is collecting water samples from lakes and streams. It's a combination of going out and taking one of our 2 boats out to Lake Wiley, Fishing Creek, various other areas around the region, collecting samples there, and other streams aren't accessible by boat. We collect those off of bridges. And also drinking water sampling. So you're testing all drinking water, which could be from community wells, from municipalities like the city of Rock Hill, city Lancaster, Lancaster County. And we don't go inside people's homes. We test from outside spigots and inside businesses. And we have, next slide, please. Next slide.
Yes, 1 minute, please. I've lost the screen sharing.
Well, part of that water sampling is
Here we go.
we have our own laboratory here, and some samples are run out of the Lancaster office, which has our own laboratory. Others are sent down to Columbia. And one aspect of the job is for all job duties, you have a DHEC vehicle. So that'd be meetings, your water sampling, anything with rabies. You have a DHEC vehicle, so you won't be driving your own. And we provide all the safety equipment, or the safety vests, things like that. And just a reminder, we cover York, Chester, and Lancaster counties right now. And one thing to keep in mind also that's not mentioned on here is during the summer, we have summer pool inspectors. Those internships get posted around February, and they close in March. And what that is it runs from about Memorial Day to the beginning of August. So you got latter half of May, June, July, beginning of August. And what that is, we have 2 positions for that. And you'll be going around to all public pools, not private. You won't go in people's backyards, but all public pools, and do inspections on those. And we have a pool school training program where the first 3 days you'll be getting trained on the job, and then you'll have regional support for all those. Plenty of people here that are experienced in those positions. So you're not just left out on your own. So that's another great, we've had a lot of people that started out as summer pool inspectors that became full-time employees with DHEC, and it's a great program. Our rec waters manager for the state actually started off as being a summer pool inspector. But with the rest of that, I'll hand off the full-time positions back to Chris.
All right, next slide, please. Yeah, Stephen mentioned the positions we have. Currently, we have 4 on-site wastewater inspector positions, which are septic tanks, 2 food positions, 1 rabies prevention position, and 1 administrative position, and then 2 wastewater inspectors. If y'all have your degree or if you have experience, then by all means get on the website and look what we have. Apply, make sure your applications are, there's no punctuation or grammatical issues on your applications. But also look at other areas of the state. We have lots of, we're a big agency. We have a lot of openings around the state. But if you're interested in these 2 internships or summer pool inspection, please apply for those as well. And with that, I think we are ready to take questions from the group if y'all have any.
I have a quick question. This is Betty Johnson at USCL. I was wondering, the internship positions, are those paid or unpaid? And how many hours per week, and over what time period would the internship last?
Those are paid positions, and they're kind of ongoing. The time frame would be kind of it's an open-ended time frame as of now. And they are paid at $11.55 an hour, and it's not to go over 20 hours per week per position. So $11.55 an hour, and up to 20 hours a week. And obviously we'll work with student schedules to make sure they don't miss any class.
Thank you. And one other question about the internships. Do you have a need for students with computer science or any type of, information system type background, or is it strictly more students with science backgrounds?
With these two positions, it's more natural or physical science based, and most of our positions will be that way, natural or physical sciences. We do have an IT department and a GIS section that they would love to have those guys apply. So yeah, don't turn them away, but just make sure we apply for the right positions.
And this is Liz and Dr. Johnson, if you could move to the next slide. I just wanted to mention that we would like to follow up with the participants and to expect an email from Ronald Miller. And if there are other type of positions that you had mentioned, such as IT related, that you're interested in, I mean, again, we're a fairly large agency. We do so many different services, and we have support services internally. So yeah, if you're looking for something else, or you have you're not really interested in the strict environmental portion of that, we'll find something for you. So please let us know if you're looking for something.
And it looks like there was another question in the chat which said, what type of qualifications are you looking for the full-time positions as far as degree or no degree and type of degree?
Most of those positions require a 4-year degree in the natural or physical sciences. So chemistry, biology, health sciences, anything like that would suffice. That's a 4-year degree. There's also a 2-year degree, and Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 3 years experience.
That's correct.
In the field chosen that you're applying for. And also there's a high school diploma. And 5 years, Liz, or 4 years?
That's correct, 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years of experience. And say you wanted to be on-site wastewater inspector, but didn't have a degree, but you did have 7 or 8 years of experience classifying soils, then you would be eligible to interview.
And Chris, we would definitely consider internships as experience. So
Right.
If somebody is going to be graduating in the future but wants to gain that experience, I mean, the internship is a perfect opportunity to do that.
And these internships also, they're in rabies and drinking water, but they give you a good idea as to what we do day in and day out. Every day is different. Every day has a different list of challenges and things that you learn. And just because you might say, I don't want to do drinking water, it's going to expose you to a lot of different areas in DHEC that we, like I said to begin with, we touch the lives of people in this state in a lot of different ways. So if you don't really want drinking water, but you want air, you can come do an internship and see what air does. You'll still be doing drinking water duties, but you can kind of see what other areas we offer.
It sounds like you have a lot of great opportunities. And yeah, if I were just graduating college, I would be really interested in this. Another student had a question in the chat, and she said, I'm interested in learning more on the rabies vaccine prevention program. As a vet assistant, I was encouraged to receive the rabies vaccine. I received the post-exposure prophylaxis dose. For this position, do you encourage people to have the rabies vaccine beforehand as a precaution?
No, ma'am, we do not. We hope that the animals that we see are already quarantined when we see them. So we do not want to be exposed to those animals as anybody else, but we do not require that.
And Chris, just to follow up on that, and I understand as a vet assistant that they may have wanted you to get the vaccine, but the vaccine really is there only if someone has gotten exposed. and that's through discussions with the medical provider. And if we have indication that the animal that they were exposed to had rabies, because the rabies vaccination is nothing to mess with. It's expensive and it can have potential health impacts. I mean, it saves lives, but it's not something that we want the general population to go through the vaccination. It's really only when needed. But certainly I understand working in a vet's office that the potential for exposure is there. So I'm happy that you worked that out with the veterinarian to make the right decision there.
Does anyone else have any questions?
And I'll add, if anybody ever has any questions, my contact information is on the last slide. Please give me a call. If you're unsure about a career, just call me and we can talk through it. So just give me a shout and I'll be glad to talk with any of you.
And I didn't see your email address. Which slide was it on?
It should be the last one.
Oh, there. I see it now.
Yep.
So Christopher Corley, corleycl@dhec.sc.gov.
Right.
So one more question for the summer or for the internships that are ongoing. Do you work around if students are still taking classes? Would they be given some sort of flexibility with their internship schedule at DHEC?
Absolutely. We will work with student schedules and make sure they don't miss classes at all. When we say up to 20 hours, if they can't do but 10, then we'll work with that. But we understand that school is their number one priority.
What about high schoolers? Do they have an opportunity for the, like we have some dual enrollment high school students at USCL. Would they have an opportunity to participate in the internship?
Oh, Chris, I'll take this one. At this point, we're reaching out to folks at the college level. If somebody's under the age of 18, that brings in some different requirements, but certainly, I mean, we want to make sure that we have a prepared workforce and understand, the best place to train people and to get them interested is in high school. So I think if somebody in high school who may be interested in this type of field, then please give Chris a call. You can also contact me or contact Stephen, and we'll try to work those wheels. But the traditional internship position is not for a high schooler.
Okay, thank you. One other question in the chat. What is the minimum amount of time per week required for internships?
Liz, if I'm wrong, let me know. I don't think there is a minimum, but to get the most out of the experience, I wouldn't say come here for 2 hours a week. I think you need to be able to do more than that so you can gain the most out of the experience that we offer.
I agree with that, Chris. I'll just put in there understanding there may be some weeks if you have an exam or something going on that you can't put as many hours in, or maybe you could put more hours in the summer. And that's all part of the flexibility, but I agree with Chris. I mean, we would like to see a good baseline every week with the understanding that there are going to be some tough weeks when you're in school with exams and other things that may pop up.
And one other question from the chat. Are the water quality and rabies internships still going to be open positions by summertime?
We hope not. We hope to get somebody in here now, but if they are, then yeah, by all means, apply for the summertime if they're open then. If they aren't, the pool positions should be open. And like Stephen said, they should open in February and close out somewhere around the end of March. So don't forget about pool positions. That's good experience as well.
Yeah, and Chris, I'll just interject. I agree there. I mean, if you're in the April month and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do this summer, give Chris a call and see what is open, what's available. And Stephen had mentioned that we had several folks that are now in management that started off as pool inspectors. Well, actually, one of our directors of the agency several years ago, Earl Hunter, started off as a pool inspector. Our director of environmental affairs, she's at the top of the environmental side. She started off at the lab in Aiken. So you learn all these skills. It doesn't matter where you start with DHEC. It matters what's in your heart, that you do good service and that you do quality work.
Okay, and one other question on the chat. So it sounds like we have a lot of interest. A student said, is there a deadline to apply for the internships?
They are ongoing until filled, and then they'll be closed. But they are ongoing until we find the proper folks. Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, this was very informative, and thank you for your service to our state. We all appreciate it.
Well,
And
thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, we will. Thank you also for speaking to our students, and hopefully some of our students will be working for you guys in one capacity or another.
Love that.
If there are no more questions, if everybody could join me in thanking our speakers.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank y'all.
Thank you
And
so
again,
much,
reach out if
guys.
needed.
Thank you. Have
All
a
right.
good week. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.